So I don't see Laura here. So we don't have the crime statistics for this month. You're mute.
No, we do. Laura, we're pulling double duty. She had another meeting, another neighborhood association meeting she had to go to. So I told her that while she's attending that one, I can attend this one.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can get those to you. Let me pull those up right now, okay? Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, so for crime statistics, from April 19th, 2022 to May 19th, 2022, it's showing that we're showing 26 commercial burglaries, 17 residential burglaries, 31 vehicle burglaries, 53 motor vehicle thefts, 24 recovered stolen motor vehicles, 2 robberies, which are carjackings, 2 commercial robberies, and 2 what they refer to as residential robberies, which would be the kind of like a home invasion. So those were some of the property and some of the violent crimes that between those 2 months, or within that month. And I have some more statistics if you guys are looking for actual specifics on some of those. So I'm open up to any questions.
Anything gone up? Any specific areas that are? That's what I ask every month.
Yeah. The stolen motor vehicles have gone up. We just continue to see citywide a increase in those, but that's somewhat deceiving because a lot of the stolen motor vehicles that we may get behind or we take reports on, they will come in as a stolen motor vehicle and they're in fact embezzled. So it's a different type of crime, outright stealing something and then outright embezzling something. So in other words, I've entrusted you with my vehicle, Rowan, and you never brought it back to me. And I call it in as if you stole my vehicle, when in all actuality it's an embezzled vehicle. But 24 of those we have recovered.
So is your car nicer than a crappy little Fiat?
I guess nice is relative, right? I have a big diesel truck that I can't drive because, you know, $5 a gallon. Yeah.
So any specific areas more impacted than others in the Valley Command area?
No, they're all staying pretty constant to what we've seen in the past. You know, we'll see a lot of our commercial burglaries actually that kind of occur a little bit further north, like north of Montano. As far as our stolen vehicles, we're seeing a lot of those occur downtown in some of the parking lots right there off of Central. And with some of our violent crimes, downtown is still a big issue. I actually had my crime analyst run the report so I can try and see how we're going to address that. And a lot of those are occurring on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights around bar closing, where you know, that part of town is covered with police officers around that time. And they just, here's the thing that's alarming and frustrating is, you know, the old, well, we'll just, you know, we'll increase presence and we'll do periodic watches and, you know, we'll make sure that we're down. I had one of my sons with, I had 3 police cars, all of which had their lights on. 2 of the cars actually were vacant, but these people didn't know that because those 2 officers were breaking up the fight at a bar just down the street. But one of the vehicles was occupied by a police officer, and you had a vehicle get out and just start shooting. Shot somebody. They don't care that officers are there. They're going to do it regardless of whether or not officers are there. So that's what's been kind of really alarming to us, because like I said before, 9 times out of 10, if you have 3 cop cars that have their lights going on in a parking lot, usually people are probably not going to want to shoot somebody. But with the type of kind of mentality that we're seeing down there, doesn't really seem to matter. So we need to think of better ways to start addressing that. And we're definitely kind of putting our heads together to try and address those things.
It's very disturbing.
It's very disturbing. And let me just, I'm going to allude to kind of what the chief had mentioned. He had mentioned something while he was speaking, that he anticipates not only homicides going up, but officer involved shootings going up. And that situation right there, where you have an individual discharging a firearm at another individual right in front of an officer, the likelihood that that officer is going to discharge his firearm into the offender is very, very high. And we're seeing this citywide in every area command. We're getting shot at, and we're seeing people commit violent crimes right in front of officers. They have situational awareness. They see them. They see the officers, but whatever is going off in their head, it's not stopping them from committing those crimes.
Ooh. Back to car thefts.
I'm sorry?
Back to car thefts, she said cheerfully. Have there been any catalytic converters?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but those aren't attributed to, so that's not going to show up in a motor vehicle theft statistic, right? Because they're not actually stealing the motor vehicle, they're stealing a part of the motor vehicle. So that's going to be more of a larceny type of call, which I can get those numbers for you, but those aren't part of the numbers that I read off to you.
I realize it's not stealing a vehicle,
Okay.
but crippling a vehicle. Once the catalytic conversion
Right.
stolen, you essentially don't have a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it fixed, and it's as far as I understand, it's an obscene amount of money to get it fixed.
Yeah, unless you know how to do it yourself, of course. So, and I'm assuming that you know how to install a Fiat catalytic converter, Rowan.
I can't even lift the hood.
Look, I'm looking at your hands right now. Look, your hands are greasy right now. I see oil on them. You know what you're doing.
I have no idea how to do any of that. That's why I have people. That's why I have my entourage of people that do work for me.
I heard you know how to mine the platinum to build the catalytic converter, Rowan.
I don't have anything. I have nothing of any use to anybody.
Rowan, is that not within your bailiwick?
Not within my bailiwick.
I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find a way to work that word in every time I talk to you. Just so you know, just because of that one time you put me on the spot.
Did I bring up bailiwick?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize I had. Are you seeing any other? I mean, are people contacting you, emailing you with issues and concerns? I find myself giving out your email a few times. People contact me and they have an issue or a concern, so I give them your email, but then I guess they don't follow through. No,
not really. I haven't gotten a lot of emails specific to that. A lot of the information that I get relative to, issues and concerns and stuff is usually through 311, and those will be directed right at me. They'll look at where it is in the city, and then they'll route that to the appropriate area commander. So that's where I get a lot of the issues and concerns is through 311, where it's great as long as I'm getting them and I can start addressing them. Whoever I get them from, whether it's 311 or directly from a person, as long as I can get them and I can start to address them. That's not to say that I don't get any. I do get some, but I haven't really noticed anything, a dramatic change in people personally emailing me.
I just mean that 311 is more of an on-the-spot thing. Something is happening then and there.
Well, no, because a lot of the 311 complaints I get, are actually, issues that are kind of continuously occurring in certain areas of the area command. It's not really, hey, this is something that's in progress. It's, hey, this is an ongoing problem. Can you help me out? That's the majority that I get.
And that's all I have. Does anybody else have a question or an issue, concern for Commander Norris?
I just had a question when DC Lowe was speaking about the civilian investigators, and that there's going to be a different process now for the level 1 use of force. There's going to be a civilian investigator, and then your department, you're part of the practice or
the pilot project
group. Yes.
Yeah.
Will you be the supervisor, or will there be someone you supervise who's going to be involved in that? Because there's just going to be 2 people, if I understood her correctly. There'll be
from my understanding, it's probably going to be the first line supervisor, which is a sergeant.
Okay, and then that's it. Then that's complete.
Sure, that's my understanding. Now remember what she had said too is we still have to go through the training to see what that process looks like, and so we can actually start utilizing that process. So that training hasn't been rolled out yet, so I'm kind of speaking from a place of ignorance and very, very limited knowledge as to what I've heard about it up to this point. So that doesn't go live here for a little bit anyway. Once it starts, I'll they'll educate me on how that process is going to work, because that'll help me. That'll help everybody. My sergeants, my lieutenants, myself. But I don't know quite exactly how the process is going to work because that training hasn't been rolled out yet.
I was just hopeful that you weren't going to have to take that on, so it's somebody else. Okay.
Well, yeah, uses of force. I mean, it's obviously. I mean, we've been talking about it for almost 2 hours. Well, that and gun control, but we've been talking about it for about 2 hours now. It's a big thing, And I approach uses of force a little differently, and how I don't want to say differently. How I review them. I actually, I kind of still do a lieutenant's review, which is almost watching all of the video and going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, kicking things back where I don't think necessarily an interview that was conducted gathered or was probing enough into what exactly happened, why the officers took the actions that he or she took. So it kind of takes me a little longer to review uses of force, just because it's so much and it's so voluminous in what you have to review and what you have to look at. A lieutenant or a sergeant is, and I hate to say it, but it's just, remember, we're talking about human beings. There's human error. A lieutenant or a sergeant is bound to miss something because of just the enormity of it, so I kind of look at them. I spend a lot of time on use of force just to make sure that we're catching everything. But I also, I kind of do that to evaluate my supervisors, not just my officers, and making sure that they're doing everything and dotting every I and crossing every T that they need to do with regard to these investigations.
And then they get reviewed by the EFIT team or by you?
No, not level ones. Level ones.
Yeah.
Level ones get investigated by the sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
They get reviewed by the lieutenant,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get reviewed by me. So
Okay.
the sergeant's reviewing the actual use of force and doing that first line investigation. The lieutenant is reviewing the sergeant's investigation along with the use of force, and I'm reviewing the lieutenant's investigation, and I review the sergeant's investigation, and I review that use of force.
Okay.
So it will really streamline things, having one investigator. And right now there's 3 levels, so I think that was my concern is, are they going to catch things? Or maybe the training is going to be so fantastic and they'll have so many boxes they have to check off that it's going to be.
We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to turn out to be, and making sure that they're they're quality investigations, quality reviews. So
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Okay, we have reached the end of the evening, unless there's something else from somebody else.
I'd like to ask one question that we talked about at the last meeting regarding the sanctioned encampments. And the city council is still considering something. And at the last meeting, Commander, you mentioned that you and I guess others at your level have not been involved with the city outside of APD regarding concerns and what sort of measures should be taken to ensure safety of the people in the tents and the people in homes and on the street. Has that changed? Have you gotten any involvement?
No, sir. Still the same. Yes, sir.
That's disappointing.
I was thinking our next meeting could be about these safe spaces, about the Safe Space Initiative, and that we
Sure.
could have Miss Elizabeth Olguin, who's the new person in charge of the unhoused issues for the city, and perhaps Councillor Benton, and actually Councillor Bassan. We come into her, she has some of the valley, and I've been very remiss in contacting her, and seeing that she's very involved in this, she would be a good person to have. And someone from, I never get it right, CSA, the community, ACS,
There's
Albuquerque.
ACS, yeah, ACS, and what they call FCS as well, Family Community Services, and then Albuquerque Community Safety.
Okay. Yeah, does that sound good to you guys? Because I'll put that in motion if that sounds like a good meeting topic for the next meeting. If you think
Let's do that.
Yes.
okay.
I think it sounds really good. I'd also like to hear how vigorous they're being with the encampments that we have in the valley in trying to make those safer right now, because I'm not sure what they're doing.
Coronado Park is a teetering thing, because I've asked the family community service person, Carol, the chief, Carol, what is it? And they can't come up. We're cleaning for them. We've got security guards for them. We do all that, but it's not considered. Well, it is an encampment, right, Commander Norris? But it's not.
I don't see it as anything other than that right now. It's not a park.
Yeah, so what are they're talking about things like organizing and giving people their little spaces for their tents. Well, why don't we get after it at Coronado Park and let's see what we can make happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to hear from them. Instead of the chaos that right now the Wells community has to put up with.
Yeah, Wells Park has more going on really than, and the Southeast, Wells Park and parts of the International District has a lot.
There's more going on with homeless there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. And if you're okay with that as a topic, I will start working on getting people on board right now.
Great.
And don't forget, and I forgot to mention this before all the people signed off, we're going to try and go with hybrid next month.
Ooh.
Ooh. Yes.
Right.
There'll be glitches, I know, but the first time, and
I'll send my avatar to the event.
will he be
Before we sign off, I wanted to tell Kelly, thank you for sending all that information on the training, and Elizabeth Martinez, all of her materials. That was very helpful
You're welcome.
to have those. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I hope
thank you,
you-
Kelly, for everything you've been sending. And there is one more thing that we need to discuss as a group. I think it will come up after the next meeting, the 3 questions for Chief Medina. I'll explain it in an email to you guys.
Okay.
So And we'll see you in, you guys want to try and meet before June to kind of shape up this hybrid and for me to report on things, how things are going with getting people for the topic, and also to coordinate some questions. We've been relying very heavily on Phil for the questions because he asks such great questions, and it's really nice to have those questions to coalesce around, to have them on our agenda.
Not like Dick does.
Oh, Dick asks the best questions of all. He just doesn't write them down.
Right.
We need to, we also need to meet on our recommendations.
Yes, we do. We do. We need to start. I'll write rough drafts. and send
I'm
them.
happy to meet. The other thing I was thinking about was we need to come up with some plans of how we're gonna get more people on this committee. And
Council, yes.
you know, are we really in touch with our community in the Valley enough to meet people who we can maybe ask if they want to join, or are we too isolated and just dealing with these meetings? That's what I'm just wondering.
I've asked Laura if we can go to neighborhood association meetings.
Yeah.
And and some of us are on our neighborhood associations. You're on a neighborhood association, aren't you, Tom?
Yes,
I am in the
Matthew
V-
Meadow.
Yeah, so
And Laura's coming to our next meeting. She'll be at our next meeting to talk about Crime Watch, or whatever we call it. She'll have an officer and she will be talking about Neighborhood Watch.
Neighborhood Watch.
And
Do
I
we have
can
a
bring up,
list? Do we have a list of our neighborhood associations in the Valley?
Yeah.
Yes, I actually, they're not all in the Valley, but I have a 3-page list here, and I can, I think it works out to about 25, 26 neighborhood associations, something like that. But there's a lot more. But I email all the neighborhood associations that I have about our meetings.
Mhm.
I usually say at the end of our notifications how we need members.
Okay.
Um,
Let the
writing
command-
Yeah, okay, we're done. Kelly wants to eat dinner.
so do I.
Enough of
So do
us.
I.
He's sick of us.
Well, maybe we could pick each of us pick a neighborhood association
Yeah,
and show up at the meeting and make a real recruitment speech, because it would be nice if we had at least one member from
Mhm.
each neighborhood.
mm-hmm.
Let's talk about how we're gonna reach out to them and more
In our meeting.
with more than just that too, Dick.
And before we sign out, let me say, I think we've lost Matthew. Seems pretty obvious we've lost
Oh,
Matthew.
yes, I ran into Matthew at Walgreens just this last week. He works the night shift.
What did he say?
Yeah, he said he was working too much and he was
Okay.
being at home and he had transportation problems, and it was sad because he felt very guilty about it. And I tried to tell him, hey, that's all right. But he seemed to be doing okay.
Okay. Okay, then let's figure out a time. Kelly, could you coordinate a Zoom meeting for us?
Yeah, just let me know when
Figure out one. Unless you guys want to meet in person somewhere. It's up to you. Give it some thought anyway. Thank you. And you're going to be in Maine soon, aren't you, Jacqueline? So you're going to need to be remote.
July, I'll be able to be remote in Maine, but the last meeting in June, I'm going to be on Amtrak going to visit my mother. So Amtrak will not be good for Zooming that night.
Amtrak's line sucks. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I just want you guys to know I joined today from Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Oh, you're
Where I am right now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'll email around and see what times are good for people, what time and day is good for people for us to meet for the next meeting.
Thank you,
And
Rowan.
But I can meet before that. I leave on like I leave the day of our meeting
Okay,
in the morning, so
okay, we do need to have,
unfortunately.
yeah, and we need to have a conversation about the hybrid, about, you know, what it's going to look like at the Johnny Tapia Community Center and all that kind of stuff. So let's go from there. Edwina, can you, no, we can check it out together. I was wondering if they have Wi-Fi there, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Okay, I figured they did.
Mhm.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
for what seemed like a really decent meeting.
Yep,
It was a good meeting.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
bye.